Hello, my loves, and welcome to this episode of Soul Strategy and Sovereignty for awakened business owners scaling to seven figures and beyond, not just through their soul, but through their energy first strategies and their absolutely savage sovereignty. I can't even begin to tell you how fucking excited I am that we have Hannah Wilson on the podcast today. I'm so honored and humbled in a really cool way to have her on and to be in her presence today. This woman carries such powerful, potent frequency in her voice, in her being, and in everything that she does. And her story is absolutely amazing, and I just can't wait for you to hear it. So, Hannah, if you would like to just kind of tell us a little bit about your origin story, I guess, a little bit about how you kind of came from where you are to the work that you do now.
Sure. Thank you so much for that intro. I'm like humbled over here. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Um, my origin story. I feel like whenever it comes to this point, I'm like, which parts to pick out? But I guess I've always really had like a deep connection to. I don't know if I would call it spirituality, I suppose. I had previously referred to it as that, but now I see it as like mastery, right? I can see myself as a small child, like on the playground at school, like telling the other kids things like, it doesn't really matter what other people think. Like what matters is that you're actually being true to what's coming through for you. And like these concepts that were way beyond anything that I had learned, they were just innate. And my mother died when I was 8. She'd been sick for a couple of years. And when she died, I remember getting out of bed in the night and all the adults were in the kitchen. And they said, your mum has passed. And I was like, she wouldn't want us to be upset. Like I said, I just wanted to go back to bed. They were like, do you want anything? Do you want to talk? What do you want to do? And I was like, I'll just go back to bed. And I was like, fine. And I remember saying to them, like, oh, she wouldn't want us to be upset. Like, it's all good. And everyone for years was so afraid that I was like suppressing all this emotion. But I actually remember just being very locked in with this wisdom of death not being such a scary thing. You know what I mean? It's just another phase. It's just another initiation, essentially, right? On the path. It's
Yeah,
not
it's not real.
actually, yeah. And that like it didn't, I remember noticing everyone around me was not coping, but I felt really grounded with it, and especially because she'd been sick for a couple of years, we were prepared for it. So there was no shock element. And there was also just this very like grounded, like wisdom and mastery in my navigation of it, which for many years I did think was a suppression. And now I can see like it wasn't actually at all. I was completely present with what I was able to experience at 8 years old. Obviously, there were some aspects that I was not able to really land with, but yeah, I think I really saw things even as a child for what they are. I really got things. So yeah, I suppose it was like a really natural progression for me as I became an adult into the path that I'm on now, where I was interested in spiritual stuff, and then sort of went down like a bit of the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories, as so many people do. Like I watched the Zeitgeist movies and was like, oh my God, I know how everything works now. And
Uh-huh.
yeah,
I get it now.
yep. And I think a lot of people get stuck at that point, right? A lot of people get stuck just in the conspiracy theories and they don't realize that you have to actually move beyond that and recognize that there's even more to the way that this realm works than just that. Like that's just one layer.
Yep.
So yeah, after being like really into that for a little bit, I sort of moved beyond it and had my first daughter when I was 24, very unexpectedly. And when she was like 1.5, I received this like message. I'd never heard a message in my head so clearly. Like I'd always been intuitive, very intuitive, but I'd never received something like this. And it was like, you have to leave her father. And basically the guidance was that like I could stay and we could have like a happy white picket fence life, but that all three of us were here to do something bigger and more important, and that we had to separate in order to do that. So that was a really big moment for me. And I just told him straight away. He was actually away at the time. And as soon as he got back, I just told him straight up, that's what came through. And he was basically like, well, your intuition's never been wrong on anything else. So, that, like, not that it makes sense, but like, I feel like we need to follow it. And then very quickly he changed his tune on that. Fair enough. But yeah, that sort of like catapulted me into, like, when I left, it was really a deep awakening of getting very into ceremony, ritual, listening to my intuition more than ever before, like really honoring it, not just hearing it, but like honoring it and living completely guided by my intuition, which then has been, the last 10 years of my life where everything has been guided 100% intuitively, including like starting my business. It was just like these codes started coming to me. I actually started as a henna artist and then was sort of like having these sessions with people and we were going really deep. And then these codes started coming to me, these visual codes. And then it just sort of snowballed one by one. The next thing, it was like I was receiving guidance to open a Facebook group and like gather all the code keepers back together after like thousands of years of keeping the codes hidden. It was like, now is the time in humanity's like collective evolution that we bring these codes out and share them. But it was like, you have to gather the code keepers because they don't know how to share them anymore because they've been programmed to keep them hidden. So it's like, we now need to go through this whole process of deprogramming these like safeguards we'd put in place. And I was like, I don't know anything about fucking anything. Like, I was like 26 years old. Like, what do I know? I just started doing this stuff, But I listened and I started the group and it grew to like thousands and thousands of people within like a few months. And that was really epic. That was like such a unique time of us all sort of like discovering this thing together. And I was like, I didn't know anything about it, but someone would ask me a question and all the information would just like unlock. And I was like, wow, this is like, who knew? Who knew I knew all this? And then eventually, a couple years after that, I was like, it's time to now release that part of my journey. And so I handed that group over to a bunch of admins and it's still going. It still does its thing, but I don't have anything to do with it anymore. And then the business just kept evolving into, like working with people in their mastery, in, their spiritual journey, and then recently niching into business. So helping people actually like bring their mission through the expression of a business, that being the vehicle. And then recently what's landed is the business mystic and creating an entire certification and academy around mystic business and how the mission wishes to express through so many women right now as actually like through this vehicle of business and being like really integrous with it, like really aligned with it, like making big money with it, actually like stepping into that next level of like leadership, like global leadership power being handed over to, the mystics, right? Like this tipping point.
Yeah. Which is exactly where we're at with the collective energy now, especially for women, especially for intuitives, especially for, I love how on a lot of your content, you kind of dance around this idea of spiritual leaders, but you don't call them spiritual leaders. You call them way showers and pioneers and mystics. And like, you're really good at putting, I don't want to say labels, but like you're really good at using, I guess, these terms or almost like these role. It's almost like if I were going to call someone a CEO, right? Like then the kind of person that I'm talking about. Like this is the role you're playing. Like I love that you are so clear about like this is the role that you're playing. Maybe you haven't fully played it yet, but here we go.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Yeah. And that's exactly it. That's what I'm feeling with the business mystic stuff, is that a lot of women are like, they feel an activation from those words, but they're like, oh, that's not me. I don't know anything about business. Because like, it's like a business mystic is not a business coach. They would play the same role as what you would hire a business coach for, but obviously they are tapped into the quantum realm. And so they're going to connect you into your business's highest timeline, highest expression, right? They're able to like move intuitively like that. So there's a lot of women out here going, I don't know anything about business. Like I can't call myself a business mystic, but the whole thing is you don't need to know anything about business. You need to be tapped into the channel. And so there's this big thing around at the moment. I'm seeing people being called to this activation of business mystic, but having this sort of imposter syndrome coming up. So it's exactly as you said, like they don't know yet that that's the role. They haven't yet tried it on, but there's definitely a calling there.
Yeah, Right when you said try it on, I like really got this very clear visual of just like a visual representation of one of these women finding in like that fancy store she's always really secretly wanted to shop in, and finding that gorgeous dress she secretly always wanted to try on, and holding it up and going like, should I?
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I feel that a lot, that there's almost like the formation of a wave is how I see
Yeah.
it. This formation of a wave of like where you have these um, business mystics, but they only really maybe know right now that they're just kind of self-identifying as like spiritual business owners, or they're stepping
Yeah.
into spiritual entrepreneurship. And then there's people that have maybe been riding the wave for a little bit longer, and they're like, nope, I'm ready. Like I'm
Yeah.
ready to go full force, crash me on the shore. Like,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yep. Totally. Totally.
And so you're here for all of it.
Yeah. I'm here for all of it. I'm here
I
for
love that.
whatever the guidance is, whatever comes through. Yes. But yeah, definitely like I have a mastermind, and this is the women who are like, they've been doing this for a while. They already know completely, what it is they do and who it is they serve. And they're just here for the refinement. But then I'm also opening a space that is for the people who are a bit like, I know I'm being called to walk this path, but I don't yet really know what that looks like. So yeah, it's definitely that like the activation is there in a few levels at the moment.
Okay, I love that. And I love that this is like a completely, um, to me, it's at least very new and different and very awakened version of business paradigm, right? Because for so long, like for so achingly long, we've had so many people offering us business coaching, like you were
Yeah.
saying earlier, more in the traditional sense of like, well, when you come and work with me, we're going to talk about the processes and the formulas and the
Hmm.
strategies and
Yeah.
like
And
everything
fit
that
you
is,
into that box. Yeah.
yes. Yes. And I think as, I don't, even if I can take women and mystics out of that box, and even more broadly say like multidimensional people, right? Like if nothing else, we can at minimum self-identify with the fact that we're sick and fucking tired of being in a box.
Yes, totally. Yeah. Yeah. And I also think that is why a lot of women have the resistance to actually niching into business, because they don't want to be like everyone else. They don't want to be put in a box, and they don't want their magic to be put into that little box, of like, oh, I'm a business coach, or I work with people on their businesses. I'm a business mentor. That feels like I'm just like everybody else. And there's, so this narrative of the coaching industry being a pyramid scheme where it's like coaches coaching coaches to coach other coaches. And it's like this self-feeding vortex. And so I think a lot of women have resistance to actually acknowledging that they are here to mentor other women in business because of that. But truly, I think like being a business mystic is something that like it is brand new and it hasn't been done before, and it is so needed, because we don't need more cookie cutter strategy. We need more people who are willing to honor the integrity of the medicine that comes through them. And business is the vehicle. You know what I mean? Like that's how we deliver it. That's how you serve the medicine. It's not like I don't run a business because I love business. Like I've grown to love it, right? I love being an entrepreneur now, but I wasn't like when I was growing up, I wasn't like, I just want to be a business owner one day, you know, I just want to do numbers and stats and figures and spreadsheets and like that. I'm a creative, you know, that was
Yeah.
never my vision at all.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've grown to love these aspects of it, but I'm not in business because I love business. I'm in business because that's my mission and this is the expression of it. And I know that I have, you know, this medicine that comes through that is about tapping other women into how to express the mission through the vehicle of business so that that's how they can help others. That's how they can serve this medicine, and especially really monetizing that mission and, you know, reclaiming money, putting money back in the hands of the mystics after this being so taboo for so long, because this is literally how we shift the paradigm. You know, this is how we shift the power dynamic.
Yeah, yeah. This is how we get out of not just the old business paradigms, but also of the old wealth paradigms, right?
100%. Yes. Yes. Which is very much what my work is about. These two threads. It's the quantum wealth and it's the quantum business. And, you know, I'm not anti-strategy. I teach strategy. I have some offerings I'm about to launch that are all about strategy. And like in my mastermind, we do strategy, but I am a big advocate that there is no point applying any strategy if you do not have the energetics and like the identity pieces and that mastery down. Like that's always, it has to be foundational that you're in your mastery and that the energetics are on point. Otherwise, no strategy is going to work. There's no point. You have to build energy first, strategy second. Too many people are either trying to build strategy on, you know, shitty foundations. They're not actually like doing the work to step into their mastery, or they try on some strategy and it doesn't work for them because it's either A, not aligned for them, or B, they're not in their mastery yet. They're not actually willing to commit to that, you know, initiatory path of getting into their mastery. And so they think, oh, strategy just doesn't work for me. And so then you have a lot of women who are too far in the energetics and they don't use any strategy. And then therefore the business doesn't actually grow and it's not sustainable. And it's not actually like profitable enough for them to commit their whole life to it in the way that is required, because they still have to have another job, or, you know, they're struggling, they're stressed, they're overwhelmed. They can't actually be in the full integrity of it. So yeah, I think that like, I'm not anti-strategy. Actually, I fucking love strategy when it's the right strategy for you. And that's always going to look different. And like in my mastermind, each one of them, I will coach them to have different strategy, right? And there's one of them who she like works with the dragons. She does ascension stuff. And like basically from our first call, I was like, probably none of the strategy I work with the other girls is going to apply to you. We're going to have a whole unique thing that we're doing for you, because her niche is like so niche. And like her ideal client avatar is like really broad, but there is a through line energetically, rather than like these tick points of, you know, what's their Starbucks order? What's, you know, where do they go for their morning run? Like these things aren't going to apply. So it's like we definitely use the strategy, but that foundation of that mastery, the energetics, the identity piece, that like, you know, devotion to the path, that has to be that paramount piece before you even think about strategy.
Yeah, and I actually really love what you said about that specific client, um that it's not that the people that she's working for specifically, at least on the outside, seem very niche, right? So maybe her medicine wouldn't feel like it wanted to be niched at first
Yeah.
because she could help so many people. But when you're talking about like there's an energetic through line, there's a
Yeah.
cord that connects all of these people together. I think having that notion of like, oh, so this is how I go about disrupting my own paradigm about what it means to like niche my magic in order to get my
Yeah.
magic in the hands of people, the medicine in the hands of the people who really need it, and
Yeah.
tune out the rest of everyone else who's just noise and clutter, right? Like that
Yeah.
that just opens so many doors for people to kind of look at niching in that regard.
Yes. And I love this conversation about niching because I myself was super resistant to it for so many years. I was like, but I help everyone, but like I can do all the things. And like this women who are, they are like natural healers. They might not, like, I wouldn't call myself a healer. I wouldn't market myself as that, but like I've always had those healing abilities. Women who come and work with me, women such as yourself and myself who are in this line of work, like that is our natural coding, right? And so it's like you
Mm-hmm.
probably can help anyone that you come across. You probably can really drastically change anybody's life, regardless of the circumstance and, who they are and what they're going through, as long as they were willing to receive it, right? So it can be really hard to niche because it's like, oh, I can help anyone. But actually, that is a subtle form of sabotage to keep us like out here with it rather than like really locked in with it. And the truth is that when you understand how to niche as this kind of, healer type, multidimensional, mystic woman, niching actually becomes super powerful. They actually have a whole thing called the magnetic client method where I teach about like niching and calling in the right client. And so I'm not asking people to answer your standard ideal client avatar questions because they will be irrelevant because, as I said, your ideal client on the outside, they might all look different, but there is an energetic through line there. And so it's like you have to find that piece of like, well, where is this person at in their journey? What are they, like, what is the next activation that they're calling for? And how are they experiencing that? Like, how do they know that that's what they're being called to? So there's definitely a way to niche in alignment with your medicine and with being, multidimensional and mystic and all these things, a visionary, a way shower, a pioneer, someone who is able to help anyone. You just have to understand, this elevated process that takes that into account rather than the stock standard business advice of like how to niche and why we niche, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I love how you just called it for what it is. Like when you're literally trying to heal everybody or to initiate everybody or help everybody or give literally any Joe Schmo who comes across your path access to you and your
Yeah.
medicine, that's actually a form of self-sabotage. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I know what I see so often that comes hand in hand with that is like that so many of these people will not only struggle with the niching because of it, but they'll also struggle so hard with the pricing because of it.
100%. Also, you're going to burn out and it's wildly irresponsible. I think that it is wildly irresponsible and unethical to just be sharing with everyone and to not be pricing accordingly, to not be niching because like your medicine is for specific people. You should only be sharing it with those people because they're the ones who are coded to receive it. If you try to share it with everyone, you are potentially handing over an activation or coding or energy or frequencies that this person is not ready to receive, which can like A, be damaging, but B, if that person can't actually receive it, then where does that energy go? It's just here in the ether. And then someone has to become responsible for it, which is going to be you, which means that you're carrying this energy in your field that has nowhere to go, which is going to burn you out in the end, right? So it's like there's misalignment here. It's like wildly irresponsible. It's wildly unethical. Women do it from this place of being kind. They think this is kind, but actually the kindest thing you can do is like fucking be in alignment with your medicine, like be in alignment with what the work is asking you. Like don't try to people please by making it available to everyone. And the pricing thing is such a big thing. Women try to price at a place that is kind, yeah, and that is like accessible. People love this thing of like, it needs to be more accessible. Your work should not be accessible to everyone. It should only be accessible to the people who it is for. And I believe that we are contracted pre-incarnation to hand this medicine over, right? Like it's written. Like if you just tune in, it's the information is there, the energy is there. You just have to tap into where the frequency is and the clients are right there. You don't have to come up with it. You don't have to go and find them. You just need to be in alignment with it. And pricing is 1 billion% a huge part of that. The pricing, the actual number itself, the activation, is the access point that the work is asking to be delivered at. If you give someone access to the work on a different point, it's not the actual energetic thread, right? Like you've missed the energetic thread. So then you're trying to deliver something on a thread where it's not aligned. The energy is not actually coming through that channel. It's meant to come through here. But people, they make pricing personal. Women especially make pricing personal. And there's this thing of charge your worth, which is like, that's one of the most damaging things anyone has ever said in the industry, charge your worth. Like, you are priceless. You do not have a monetary numerical value on your worth. You never could. Like, you are a fucking magical human being. Like, this is completely priceless and invaluable. So charge your worth puts this thing into people's mind that like automatically is a distortion on what it is. Don't charge your worth, charge what the medicine is asking to be charged at. And in the same way that it will communicate to you, you know, what the name is, what the energy of it is, what the offering is, it will also communicate to you the price 100%. You just have to honor that, right? But people feel like, oh, I couldn't possibly. And I do too. Like recently, you know, I was on a call with my coach and she was like, I think the price is this. And I was like, that's illegal. That's illegal. I couldn't possibly. And she was like, cool, that's your edge. That's the next edge that the work is asking to be priced at. And so like, I obviously feel that too, like 100%. I go through that, but I just don't let that lead, right? I don't let that voice, that fear, that ego piece of like, oh my God, I couldn't possibly, no one will pay that. Who do I think I am? What will people think? Like, oh, I don't let that lead. I let the medicine lead. I listen. I honor it. Even if I feel really scared or ridiculous or whatever, I still honor what comes through. And I think that this is a thing on pricing that like gets so many women stuck. And I really think a big key piece here as well is like, what karmic debt or misalignment are you creating for your client, the person that you're trying to help, if you're not pricing correctly, if you're not actually listening to the medicine? The wisdom is there. You just have to tap into the thread. The pricing comes through. But if you're trying to, with your own head, decide, where should I put this out? What will people actually pay? What burden are you then putting on your client, the person who's receiving? Because you didn't actually listen and do what you're meant to do, which is be in integrity to the medicine. That's your job, right? That's your job. That's not on them. That's on you. Like if you're not going to be in integrity to the medicine, you shouldn't be doing it. And I think this is like a conversation that isn't being had enough. And I literally just drafted a post about this, that like you think you're kind when you price at a place where you're like, I know that particular client can't afford this, so I'm going to price this offering at this lower price point so that she can afford it. But all you do there is you keep her in her lack. You see her in her lack and you project that onto her. And instead of honoring the pricing that it's being asked for and giving her the opportunity to stretch into that next level for herself, you hold her in that place. But all the while saying, this is kind. This is a nice thing to do. This is a good thing to do. So yeah, I think that like in the industry, and this is where the Business Mystic thing is coming in, you know, Mystic Business Academy is landing so strong, is that like these conversations need to be had way more, because so many women just don't understand. They see the normal business advice and then they feel these are caring, loving, good-hearted women who are here with the mission of helping humanity. And so they channel that in a way of like, oh, this will be kindest. This will be nicest. This is, you know, keeping my work accessible is the most generous thing I can do. And not enough people are having the conversation that like the most generous thing you can do is like get in fucking alignment with the mission. Like listen and honor it, and be brave enough to honor it, even when you feel like about it, you know?
Yeah, to honor your own medicine, right? Like what you're speaking about here is soulpreneurship as opposed to entrepreneurship, right? So you're honoring the fact that your own medicine is not only evolving your clients, it's evolving you at the same time. Like you and your business are evolving simultaneously and finding your edge at the same time. And I love how you referred to pricing as an access point, because it reminded me so much of some of the people that I used to circle up with very regularly, and this was like a very common thing, was talking about, well, if we're going to have this ceremony, or if we're going to have this retreat, or if we're going to make this offering available to the community, what are we going to price it at? And while I agree, I think like on one hand they're trying to be kind, like their hearts are in the right place, and yet, regardless of how low they would price it, not
Mm,
a single time, when I'm talking specifically about plant medicines, right? Like
mm,
we know, like those of us who have sat with plant medicines, like we know how powerful they are, and we know that
yeah,
there is a preparation process that
yeah,
needs to be had for however many several days leading up to the day that you receive the medicine and attend the ceremony or the retreat or whatever it is, right? And like that's the access point. And yet so many times I also saw, especially in ceremonies in which, not to sound bad, this is going to sound worse than I mean it to, but especially in these ceremonies that were run by men, they got very like in their ego about
yeah.
being quote unquote the shaman, right? And instead of honoring the fact that not only is there this preparation process and there are other people that are co-creating the experience together, that we're going to still make it accessible, right, and price it very low. And at the same time, we're going to allow more people in. So, I mean, I've sat in these ceremonies where there's like 30 something people all having
Yeah,
plant
right.
medicine together. And it's like so many of them weren't prepared, and they weren't they more than likely also weren't very committed to that preparation process
Yeah.
beforehand because
And the
they didn't
integration.
feel it when they paid for it. Yeah, and then there
Yeah,
was no integration. Right, exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's like the whole process before, during, and after, and like none of it is really held accountable for
yeah.
when ego and kindness gets in the way.
100%. And I just think like when you're talking about like plant medicine and you know what I refer to as the medicine that comes through, and like often when people work with me or come into my containers, they have experiences like as if they'd sat with plant medicine. They have huge purges, they have these huge rebirths. Like that's sort of like become a bit of a joke within my community, that it's like the Hannah plant medicine effect, right? So these are huge
That's awesome.
initiations. Yeah, I know. It's, well, they don't love it at the time, but it is, you
They
know,
love it
it is what it
afterwards.
is. Yeah. It's consistent, it's reliable at least, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But you know, this medicine, like with plant medicine, this is huge initiation. This is huge work. If you get access to it when you're not ready, that can have such dire effects. Like that can be so, so dangerous for people. And so this is where
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, as you know, the practitioner or, you know, the shaman or the leader or whatever, it is really our responsibility to price accordingly, not to price accessibly, right? Like medicine shouldn't always be accessible to everyone. You do have to get to a certain level of mastery on your own before you can really journey with medicine that goes very deep, right? You need to have a foundation, and people hate this conversation because they're like, that's so unfair, that's so discriminatory, and you're saying that people who don't have money don't deserve access to this stuff. I'm like, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, let's be realistic. When I didn't have any money, I wasn't ready to sit with this deep medicine. I had to go through the journey, the self-initiation, the self-leadership, the self-responsibility of finding the work in the places where I could, and leading myself through that journey before I got to a place where I could actually start to receive deep medicine like this, right? Like I accessed every single free resource I could find. I listened to
Mm-hmm.
podcasts, I read books. When I first started learning about like childhood trauma and stuff like that, was, you know, 10, 15 years ago. And it was like before podcasts were so common, or before we had Instagram where people start pages to share about this stuff, when Instagram was just, you know, photo sharing. And so I was literally on forums reading about people's
Yeah.
experience. I was looking through like medical like studies and digests. Like I was accessing whatever I could. I was listening to things on YouTube. Like I was finding whatever I could to learn about this at the level that I was able to receive it at. And that self-leadership, that self-responsibility is such an important foundational piece, because if you don't have that, you are not going to be able to actually receive what the medicine wishes to give you at that level, right? Because medicine isn't just like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Oh, like, so glad I got to receive this. It's like, it's going to take you to the fucking depths. It's going to ask you to see these things about yourself and confront them, and to see where you're keeping yourself in these patterns, you're perpetuating these loops, you're holding on to these things that don't serve you. And it's going to ask you to then go through the process to shift those things. And if you don't have that foundation of being self-led, self-responsible, willing to see, it's going to have dire effects. So I really like this idea of keeping your work accessible. I think is like one of like the most dangerous things in the spiritual industry. And I think it really shows that someone is like, sorry if you guys watching are feeling called out, but if you're trying to keep your work accessible, this to me shows that you don't have mastery, you don't have spiritual maturity, you do not have the self-responsibility and leadership to actually listen to what the medicine wants, and you probably should not be serving it until you get to a point of initiation where you can hold that level of integrity.
Yeah, yeah. And if anybody does feel called, I actually want to say you're welcome. Not, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You're welcome. Like,
Yeah.
because it's a reflection. We are just a reflection of you. So if you're feeling called out,
Yeah.
it's a reflection of the medicine calling you out and saying, hey, we need to spend more time together
Yeah.
before you like
100%.
trot off on your merry way. And
Yeah.
this actually ties in so much, this idea of spirituality, right? And like we touched on this earlier, is like these people who are maybe just at like this bottom of the wave, and maybe what they would call themselves is spiritual, and they're not yet ready for that level of leadership, either because they're self-sabotaging or they're denying it, or and then there are some people who maybe like should actually tone down a couple of notches and
Yeah.
go from like pioneer, like maybe I'm just spiritual for a little
Yeah.
while,
Yeah. But
kind
also
of
the
thing.
medicine will deliver that to them, right? Like it will all come out in the wash. Like, and we've
Yeah.
seen that happen in the industry and have been for the last few years, that like that is balancing out. That process is happening.
Yeah, Mother Nature always knows how to balance herself out. Creator in the universe, they always know how to balance themselves
Yes.
out. Like,
Yes.
it's no coincidence that the ancient Chinese symbol of yin and yang is a circle that
Yeah.
never ends, because
I
that
have them
balance
here
always
on my
finds.
shoulders.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. And
Maybe
that's
that's why I
in
felt
the
that.
yeah, in the realm of polarity, balance will always be found. It will. It will always balance out. So like, yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was actually one of the first conversations that Hannah and I connected over, is coming from this like more broad perspective, broad paradigm, where like maybe you haven't fully embodied or integrated your own medicine and your own magic enough, and a lot of us start in this place, like you mentioned before, as just like generally speaking, you could say like, oh yeah, I'm a healer, and so many of us have started this way, and I believe that the people who are hearing this and meant to hear it will have risen above this in some way, and maybe also resonate with this message that maybe they're just like tarot readers, healers, Reiki practitioners, oracles, like whatever they are, and coming from this maybe kind of weird inversion or almost like
Mm.
delusion, I want to say, that like universal truth is their truth. And so there's still not quite like
Yeah.
a full embodiment or integration of their own personal unique mission and medicine that
Yes.
they've been given, right? Like they're
Yes.
sitting in what we coined on this phone call we were on. We coined it the beige space. Like
Yeah.
you're fading into the background, trying to be so kind to everybody, trying to
Yes.
deliver your medicine at such an accessible way to
Yeah.
everybody, just
Yeah.
letting anybody and everybody in, letting everyone else's energy collide with your own and cloud it all up, right? Like,
And just sharing the same concepts, like spitting out the same stuff everybody else is sharing. Yeah. these commonly accepted, spiritual concepts and truths without actually tapping into like, what is the medicine that you're here to serve? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Did
without having a full honor for
yes.
the unique ways that you have been bestowed the medicine upon, for
Yeah.
the unique journey that the medicine has taken you on.
Yeah. Sorry, did you have a question or do you just want me to speak on that? I didn't want
No,
to
yeah,
interrupt you.
no, go ahead. Yeah. If you had thoughts that
Okay.
you wanted to add, I was
Yeah.
just like, it was at the top of mind while we
Yeah.
were talking about this whole thing.
Yeah. No, I have so much I want to add on that. I think
Yeah.
that the breath work, the naturopathy, the Reiki,
Yes.
the whatever it is, right? These are just vehicles. They are
Holistic.
just they're not what you do. You might like I was Reiki, whatever the word is. What do you even call it? Anyway, I got my Reiki thing years and years and years ago, right? And I've
To
not. Yes, thank you. I have never used it once because midway through the first day, like the first session, I was like, oh, I've been bringing through my own frequency medicine. Like, I feel like Reiki, and again, don't come for me, Reiki practitioners. I feel like the actual Usui Reiki is actually completely outdated. It does not have a place here anymore. And what I mean by that is there is literally not a frequency resonance point for that anymore. And the people who are actually successfully delivering what they think is Reiki right now are actually just tuning into their own frequency medicine, but calling it Reiki and maybe not even realizing. But I think that so many people get these certifications, put these labels on, call themselves this thing, and they don't realize that actually like that is just the first step. It's okay to get certified in things and to learn and be a student and to even practice, right? It's totally fine to do those things. I'm not saying like no one should practice Reiki or breathwork or naturopathy or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that the medicine that you deliver is far more unique than just any of those one things, right? You might be doing it under like the guise of that and just delivering it to people. You sometimes go and receive a massage from someone and it's just meant to be a standard remedial massage. Then afterwards you're like, well, that person did something more than that. Or a lot of people see a naturopath, but they're like, actually, this person is a healer, like, or traditional Chinese medicine practitioners or things like that, right? So I'm not saying that like you can't practice under the title of it, but your mission is going to be far more niche and unique than that. And I recently had someone say to my partner, he was talking to her, and she was like, oh, yeah, I really want to start practicing like natural medicine and like learning about it and go down that path. And he was like, oh, is that what like your heart really wants? And she was like, yeah. And he said to me, I was saying she should come and see you. And I was like, yeah, she should come see me in a few years when she gets to the point where she realizes, oh, I actually want to share my medicine. I actually want to be in my mission. But these are steps along the process, right? That's totally fine. I think that another really important key thing to notice here is that in the generation sort of above us, like sort of older women who've been in like the spiritual industry for a long time, a lot of them have done this thing where they are, tarot readers or like Reiki practitioners or things like this, right? These sort of like kind of safe. I mean, it wasn't necessarily safe when they came out. It was still very much groundbreaking, but these titles, and a lot of them who I have met over the years, this is a huge generalization. I'm not speaking for everyone, saying everyone is this, but a lot of these women who I've met are not actually embodied in their medicine. They're simply delivering something that they are not at all willing to like swallow and drink themselves. And, I have met so many women along the path who are considering themselves pioneers. And in a way, they have pioneered for us. Like, I don't want to take that away. They absolutely have. But at the same time, it's like, then you look at their actual life and their relationships and the way that they carry themselves, and they're not at all willing to look at their own shadow and to integrate the medicine that they serve. And I just remember so many times being like, whoa, like, that's like your relationship with your daughter is a huge thing where medicine is coming through for you, but you're completely, or with your partner or with your clients or whatever. And so you mentioned it before as being a soulpreneur, and I would refer to it as mission-led, which is, just either or, different semantics. Being mission-led means that you will walk with the medicine before you serve it. It will always come through to you. And often my clients are like, oh my God, what's going on? And even me, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, what's going on in my life? And then I'm like, oh shit, this is the medicine. Oh, there's a container that wants to come through around this. And so I think that, a really big thing to recognize here is that, like, these titles, these jobs, these things that you learn, these qualifications, they're all good, but they're also not your medicine. Your medicine is actually something that will come through you, and all it will ask of you is to accept it and receive it and look at the things that it's asking you to look at and then move with it, right? Like, you don't have to sit down and be like, what will I create a container about? Like, what will I do in my business? Like, when you're mission led, the medicine will come through you and you're like on the floor and you're like, oh, I'm going to create a container out of this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is actually something that's been coming through, like, really very clearly for me, not just as like a remembrance of some of my own medicine. Before we hit the record button today, we were talking about how we're both like in these kind of like very initiatory seasons right now, and for me the last like 4 or 5 days I've been like literally like sweating, like it's been very intense. But I love that you bring that up, because one of these kinds of pieces of my remembrance and culmination of this new level of embodiment that my mission is taking me on is that is that how do I want to say it? That we're being called first and foremost to be, not to do.
Yes.
Right? Like, this isn't about what you do. Like you just said,
Yes.
it's not that you get like this download and then you go like, oh yeah, that's my medicine. Now I'm gonna go create the container. It's that you it's that
Your
you
beingness is the transmission. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's who you are. It's
Yeah.
what you are. It's
Yeah.
how you, as the mystic and the pioneer that you are, how specifically you alchemize whatever it is that you're meant to alchemize and activate and initiate and level up yourself.
And embody it, right?
And
you don't
embody it
serve from a place of tapping into it. You serve from embodiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you say that, like something that I'm reminded of is like in the last few years now, one of these kind of like, I don't want to say like new age, that makes me sound so old, but it's kind of one of these like new age practices, right? Is all of this like around manifestation. And I think so many, healers and mystics and spiritual entrepreneurs who are mission led and have their hearts in the right place, but maybe are feeling lost or misguided in the embodiment and integration of their medicine. And so they think like, I know that I'm meant for, I don't know, 20K months. I know I'm meant to be speaking on stages. I know I'm meant for you name it, right? And they think they're just going to manifest their way to it.
Yeah.
Right? That's very like that helps when you've already laid your foundation. Like you said it earlier, like you have to lay your foundations. You're sitting with your own medicine, your lived experiences. All those things have to lay your foundation. I'm a mountains girly in human design, so I think of everything as like the culmination of like building a mountain.
Sure.
So I think like this is your foundation of your mountain, right? And manifestation is great after you've laid the foundation and walked around it like a lot, several times probably, and then like spiraled your way up there, right? But if you're just like at base camp and you're like, yep, I'm just gonna manifest my way to that.
Yeah. No, because it's a culmination point of the work, right?
Yeah.
It's it's in the moment, it's like, wow, suddenly the manifestation is here. But it's actually all the work that you have put into the alignment before that. Like even a quantum leap quantum leap happens in a second, in one moment, but it doesn't actually. It's all the work that you have done up until that point that then collapses time and you step into that different reality, right? And
Yeah.
manifestation is not magicking something up out of nowhere. Manifestation at its core, the process is you receive a desire, right? Because that's a thing that's already coming for you. So it has to come from this place of alignment. It doesn't come from here. It comes from this truth that comes from within you. You're being guided towards this thing. And then once you set the intention, yes, I'm going to have that thing, everything that you are holding within you that is not in alignment with that, is not an energetic match to that, will come up. So you say, oh, I want to call in some more money. Suddenly you get an unexpected bill. You crash your car, your laptop dies, you get evicted, like all these things come up and you're like, oh my God, that's the opposite of what I wanted. But it's like, that's the medicine. That's the work.
Yeah.
That's the data. That's what you now have to work on releasing or looking at. Where is this pattern coming from? What is this story? What is this belief? When's the first time I remember feeling this feeling? That's the data that you get, that then you do the work, which then makes you an energetic match for the thing, right? But people often don't understand the process is not going up and out. It's going down and in.
Yeah.
And then you collapse time by becoming a match.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I very much think of the human soul energy, that thread, as like a tree, right? Like a tree will not grow its branches, certainly not very far up and out, if its roots are not able to go deeper down and wider, right? That's why when we look at the tree of life, it's equal top and bottom. That's literally the creation cycle, that we dig our roots down deep first and lay that foundation. And I also like to think of the roots as how they're again, like alchemizing our human experiences into like the nutrients of the soil, if you want to think of it that way. It's like we're soaking up all these experiences that are nutrients for our growth and our ability to come up and out in that way. And it reminds me very much, I actually have this tattooed on my legs, but Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh says, no mud, no lotus.
Yeah.
And I think of that very
Absolutely.
much like everyone wants their lotus. Everyone wants like this big, beautiful, wonderful output, but so very few are willing to give the input.
100%. And also, that's mirrored in the way that so many people think about transcending out of our humanness, transcending into 5D, like the whole ascension conversation of going up and out, being saved, being rescued, coming and like doing everything people can to get like out of their humanness, like connect up there. Whereas actually like the entire path is by dropping in. You have to be willing to drop in and see like, what do I actually hold in my coding, in my programming, in my emotions, in my nervous system, in my body? And that's always where the path is, right? Like you have to go through what's actually being held internally to get anywhere. And that's actually what the process of ascension is. It's a planetary ascension. It's an evolving of consciousness. We're never meant to transcend out of our humanness. We're meant to like drop all the way in and actually create space to descend our divinity more into the human vessel. But the path is always like through here,
Yeah, again, in reference to like traditional Chinese medicine, right? Like they say that the human channel is the connection between heaven and earth, right? Like that's literally
This is
what we're
literally
here to be.
Yes. This is like, this is the divine portal, right? You don't have to go up and out. You actually, like 90% of people fucking 99.9% of people need to actually spend less time trying to go out and more time coming in. That's where all the data is. That's where all everything is, The path, the portal, the channel, all of it.
Yeah. It for so long I've been preaching to people like meditation is a great tool if you use it properly, but it's not about
Not an
clearing your
escape.
mind. It's not about escaping, right? It's like anything else. It's like any other medicine that you might get from a mystic. It's like any other medicine you might get from a plant. It's like, right? But these are tools that are designed to ground our divinity, not to get us out of our humanness.
Yeah, totally. 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So, I know that you, on that note, have a call that you are going to be
I
on in
do.
just a little
Yes.
bit, and so I
We have
won't
our
keep you too much
ceremony
longer.
call for my mastermind. Once a month we have a ceremony and we drop in with the business and the vision and it takes us on a journey. So yeah, I'm about to jump on that.
I love that. That's beautiful. Is this
Yeah.
inside of Quantum Wealth Queen, or is this inside of
No.
the Inner Sanctum?
Yeah, this is the inner sanctum. And
Okay.
this we have 3 calls a month. One is ceremonial, one is like, Q&A where they can just bring their offers, or often we do a lot of just like, energetic stuff of what's actually moving in their life. And then we have a planning call at the end of the month where we like set intentions and create a bit of a plan for their month ahead. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like you were saying earlier, there's plenty of enough space and room for the energy and the quantum and the strategy to all
Yeah.
coexist.
100%. And I think like this, I really see it as like, there's no point bringing in strategy until you have the energetics and the mindset down, right? And so I've created this space called the Hive. And like, that's a 4-month initiation with the rose codes where like you get that on point. And then at the end of the 4 months, you can apply to move up into the inner sanctum, which is where we then will bring in that strategy. We bring in more of a holistic approach to all of it, because that's when you're ready to actually like really apply it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And so the Hive is brand new for you, right? You're just now launching it
Yes.
for the first time.
Yes, I'm actually just like doing up the wait list now, and I'm about to launch for the wait list to get on like founding members rate and open that this month.
Oh, so it's brand new.
No one's in there yet. It's brand new. I haven't even opened it yet.
Oh, that how exciting. Okay, well then
Yeah.
I will make sure that I include all of that information in the show notes to this episode.
Cool.
So anyone
Yeah.
who hears it like in a hurry, because I know that your hearers are powerful and they feel it very quickly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if anybody wants to reach out about any of this stuff, the best place to contact me is just through my Instagram and have a chat and see what's available and what might be a match.
Awesome. That sounds lovely. So I will make sure that I leave that information for you all in the show notes as well. Is there anything else that you wanted to add onto this?
No, just thank you so much for the conversation. I loved it. This was like a nice little fiery drop in. It was great. When we were talking about coming from the beige space into this, I feel like this was perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on. It's just been so fun, and I'm sure that we will find all kinds of wonderful, juicy ways to connect again soon.
Yeah, totally.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for being here, Hannah. We'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.